Hey everybody, welcome back to my shop. It is a great day because I get to give you a really nice update on the J-3P Cub. So we're gonna start off by cutting to a clip. All right, so let's go to maybe another clip. So hopefully that little clip early on in the video is a little incentive for you guys to stick around and hear what I have to say about this project. Feel free to skip around if you want to. But I've learned some things. And so this week is all about learning from my misfortunes. All right, so first and foremost, working on the engine, glow drivers. So single head glow drivers, they, I got frustrated with them a long time ago. Like, how come these things like seemingly go dead all the time? Turns out glow heads pull a lot of current. I just never thought about that. It's a heating element and it pulls a lot of current. With the 3 glow heads on this, I needed at least 6 to 8 amps at 1.5, 1.4 volts. So I had to get a little buck converter and dial it in with a voltmeter. And even then with the load on it, I had to dial it in further once I got everything connected. So I have a separate, my intent is to use a separate power system with a switch that will be dedicated solely for the glow system, because I don't want to have that glow system drain the receiver battery so quickly that I might lose signal and lose the plane. Okay, that's just because there's so much current that is drawn from that battery for that system. If you're using an ignition system, it's not going to draw that much current because you're converting to very high voltage with the CDI ignition. So something worth noting there, something that I learned. So let's move on to the airframe. I'll give you guys an update there. So we'll start off with the wings. We'll get to the fuselage in a minute, but the wings are, of course, still done, but I was able to cover the other aileron, and as you can see, here is our first issue. Moving immediately to the fuselage, you can see that it's also covered. This was actually not that difficult. This was. So this transition here is all stretched. So when I applied the covering, I tacked it down here and here and a little bit across here, just lightly in case I had to move it. But then there was this flap here, and I used my heat gun to heat up the area and stretch it. And then I would do that again and stretch it, just slowly stretch it into position where I could tack it and then cut. And I did the same on the other side. And so we have a nice seam that goes up the vertical stabilizer. Looks really great on both sides. I'm very, very happy with it. However, moving on, as I was putting this down, I was like, wait a minute, those yellows are not the same. And that is very, very true. This is the original roll, and it does not match the new roll. So herein lies something that you can learn from my misfortune again. So yellow apparently is just extremely difficult for covering, and this is also true with like ultra coat and monocoat and whatever coat. Batch to batch, the colors are just not consistent. I reached out to Horizon about this. This is a known thing. So what majority of guys do is they end up buying like half a dozen rolls and pick out the ones that are the closest to match, and then do their project and return the other ones, which is crazy to me because these are $90 a roll. So they're spending like $600 up front. That's crazy to me. And it's unfortunate. But I am also told that eventually down the line with sun exposure and heat, etc., that the yellows will even out. Now, it is not uncommon to see a cub with portions of it recovered. And so sun fade is a thing on different portions of airplanes. I get that. It just bugs me because with weathering and everything that happens over time, I kind of want it all to be uniform. But that's the that's the reality of it. So yeah, I've got the yellow is just a kind of a problem. Moving on to this side of the airplane, really, I wanted to demonstrate more of this color issue. So I had the original color from the wings, and I mixed up a batch of paint. So this code is no good. Get your own mixed up per your covering because they don't match. They just don't match. So inside I've painted everything except the floors. You can even see a slight difference between this yellow and that yellow. The floor will be painted brown per the full scale, and I will be going to see the full scale in short order. But in the meantime, I'm moving on to other things. I've got one window here I need to pull the tape off, but glued in using canopy glue, and very straightforward process there. Need to do the entire other side. Did the top window. So the interior is coming along quite nicely. The other thing that's also coming along, I wanted to get to a good goalpost and get this thing like on its legs, right? Just sitting on all three wheels. And so yesterday afternoon, I took some time to install the landing gear. So let me give you a little update, a little brief go over of the landing gear and what needs to happen there. Starting with the tail, we have carbon fiber here. The tail that comes with it from Hangar 9, not very scaled, but I do have a Dubro tail wheel with the aluminum that looks a lot better, and so I will be swapping out for that. So that is to come. The rudder obviously has the pull on the springs, so that is to come as well. But let's move on to the main gear. We will put the door, there we go, put the door up. So obviously I need to remove this covering, this plastic monocoat, ultra coat covering, because that's going to get nasty over the years. So unfortunately, I'm going to have a yellow, this yellow, that doesn't match the yellow paint that's on the metal hardware. I'm okay with that because I have to be. I'm going to be honest, like this yellow, the original yellow, it does match quite well. And so it wouldn't have been a problem had I gotten that yellow. I know I keep harping on this, but so the way that this worked out was I had the yellow from recovering the PT-19. I had some remnant of that roll left, like maybe a yard. I knew I needed more, so I ordered a roll. That came in, there was no discrepancy. Those two rolls matched perfectly. So that's what I used to cover the wings and everything else that I could. Realize I was coming up short and needed another roll for the fuselage. And then ordered another roll. And so the old roll that I got, that was like 2 years or so, my guesstimation between ordering, and then this most recent roll just does not match. So even if you order it close to each other, it's not really going to match. Please learn from that. Honestly, if I had known this was going to be a problem, I would have just gone with white, and I would have gone to a local store that I know has automotive paint, shot automotive paint all over everything because the weather is still nice and hot outside. So that would have been a perfect solution because it would have been fuel proof and I could put whatever clear coat I wanted on it. Live and learn. Live and learn. All right, back to landing gear. Sorry. So the thing I really want to point out here is that we've got this Hanger 9 Pro light and these really nice Cub hubcaps. And these actually do pop off, not easily, for good reason. There, I got it. Okay, so looking at these, I was like, wait a minute. This stuff looks really familiar, 4.25 inches. And then I said, hey, let's compare to the Dubro Cub wheels, quarter scale Cub wheels. And it's like the same, slightly different. We're talking 4 screws versus 3, but even the tire molding is the same. So here's a fun thing that you get to have a little insight into the hobby. The usual suspect providers end up providing hardware and such for the big manufacturers, okay? And this is a case in point. That's fine. And I bring it up also to point out that, like, it's okay to get better hardware. If you find something that's inferior, you can go with something else. So here's a big fat, for instance. This is an older ARF that's discontinued, and let me show you the tire situation. So looking at these tires, I can squeeze these. These are solid foam, and they are quite forgiving. There was an EPA regulation that forced Dubro to slightly change the formula for their foam tires for the scale Cub wheels. And so now they are much harder to do. This is much more difficult to compress the rubber. They still give, they still last a long time, but they are not the same formulation. So I will be sticking with the softer rubber, and I will reserve these just because that makes sense to me. I could actually replace the hubs because the hubs are much more current, but these were already drilled out for the wheel axles. So since it's likely the exact same plastic coming from Dubro with just a slightly different mold with the 4 screws versus the 3, I just went with the stock hardware on the wheels. And not to mention the Cub insert that just snaps right in. It does actually fit in that center port, so I could use that rather than the screw-on Cub caps. That's kind of funny. Cub caps. So all of that said, we're taking our time here and getting one thing knocked out after another. After putting the landing gear on, clearly there are things that I need to address. I did not put on any of the Loctite for bolting things in. That's key important thing. Use Loctite. I did use Loctite on the grub screws that hold the wheel on, so that's not going to change. I can fully disassemble that. The spring covers, there are springs inside here. These are so old that they're literally crumbling in my hands. Like, see that? So what I'm going to do is, before they completely disintegrate, I'm going to try to get some replacement fake leather and try to essentially create a pattern, a template pattern to make these, and I can post that up somewhere unless I find them otherwise. I know there's a lot of builders out there that love Cubs, so if you know where I can source some of these, reach out to me. I might just purchase them. I'm not afraid to make them. I'm pretty handy with the needle and thread. And that doesn't intimidate me at all. But if there really is a need for a pattern for one of these, I'm happy to share that. Yeah, so aside from that, it's just one thing at a time, and I wanted to make sure that I give you guys an update. So I'm going to be going through, getting all the windows glued in, getting the cockpit outfitted, getting the seats assembled. They have to be glued together, getting a seat belt for the full body pilot. Like, there should be some additional good detailing things coming, because I want to make sure that I have the interior situated and sorted before I start installing all the hardware for the model to fly. That way I'm making things install after the fact, and I know where all the cockpit stuff is so that things aren't going to interfere. Okay. Yeah. So I need to keep going on breaking in the engine and keep putting one little part at a time in this, and then get more scale details, because I've got to put on rib stitching. And so unfortunately, the pinking tape that's going to go over top of the stitches is going to be the different yellow. You see where I'm going, how I'm griping about this yellow thing. Learn from my misfortune. Okay. Building season is coming. I'm coming up on a new masterclass in October. So if you're interested in that, we're going to be doing a really great build, and head on over to Dubro and subscribe to their channel, the Dubro YouTube channel or their Facebook page. We'll be doing live streams twice a month until that plane is done. And it's going to be a really fun project. Really pretty model. And it's going to be gas. We're going to do a gas model this time. So it's all different, and it's a big sucker, 90-inch wingspan. So another fun thing going on in this shop. Anyway, go on to dubro.com, use that code Josh10 at checkout, and keep working on those flying works of art.